Imagine 30,000 Canadian children and youth in Canada waiting for adoption. It's reality. 30,000 homes are urgently needed for Canadian children needing parents. Most are over the age of 4. To discuss this adoption crisis in Canada, Lorna is granted a rare interview with Governor-General David Johnston in the drawing room at Rideau Hall. His Excellency offers insights he's gleaned in studying adoption, the need to put faces and names to the numbers, and he suggests causes and remedies for one of Canada's biggest, most invisible problems. Then Lorna checks in with authors and adoption advocates Tracy and Bruce Clemenger on the daily struggle to communicate the needs of these thousands of children. This is Context, a look at life beyond the headlines.
Welcome to Context. I'm Lorna Dueck. When it's one of the most important topics in the country, it's time for context to go to Canada's head of state. So we've reached out today to His Excellency Governor-General David Johnston about the urgent need for adoption in Canada. So this week, we're on the road. Canadians already know about the brilliant, compassionate Governor-General, known to his 10 grandchildren as Grandpa Book. What we discovered in our exclusive interview was a man of faith and prayer with an intense compassion for 30,000 Canadian children who are looking for what so many take for granted, a permanent, loving home. We're taking you to the largest public residence in Canada today. This is Rideau Hall. It has been home to all the Governors General since Confederation. And today we're going on an interview with Governor-General David Johnston. You have a long history in the academic world. You're a lawyer, you've been a professor of law, you've written over 20 books. But this is different. Tell me about having a job that promotes the well-being of this country.
Well, how lucky can one be, huh? I went off to university at age 18 and I loved it so much that I never left. I was, 27 years as a university president, which was a long period of time. I loved every bit of it. And then I was asked to do this job, and I thought, before you leave this earth, you better do a real job and not just have fun. And this job is just more fun and a great honor, of course, to serve in this capacity and have a chance to see this great country from coast to coast to coast.
And you bring to that not only an academic background, but you also bring a spiritual background to your care for the country. You're an Anglican lay minister. Tell us about your faith.
Well, it's important to me. It's my rock, and it's very much part of our family. I grew up in Northern Ontario. I went to college in Boston and took the modest training that then existed with the Episcopal Church in the United States to become a lay reader, a lay minister. And then I served as a vacation replacement for Anglican ministers on the 3 First Nations reserves around Sault Ste. Marie and then the country churches. So I had a chance to help out a little bit that way, and it's been part of my life ever since and something that's very important to me.
One part that isn't open to the public is the chapel here. Tell us how you keep yourself spiritually well in this kind of demanding public life.
Well, I pray every day, and I'm very conscious that faith is very much a part of one's being, one's soul, and I simply think, especially the Christian religion, whose basis is love, is something that grounds us and permits us to carry out our activities day to day with some kind of frame of reference or moral compass.
We wanted to talk today about a great need for love in this country. And that is, and this delves into a study that you did in 2009, and you found a great need in this country for waiting children who need adoptive families. And you wrote that there was a difference. There's a long line of parents wishing they could have children. And there's a long line of children as wards in the state. 30,000 children. What do you think of that incredible disconnect?
Well, here, of course, is the need. 30,000 children in foster care who are longing for a permanent loving family. We only place about 8% of those. When we did our work in Ontario, we finished in June of 2009. there were about 10,000 children in foster care. We were placing a little under 900 per year, so that's 8% or so, and the average age of placement was about 13. And it just broke my heart to see the 91% who weren't placed, because we would see these kids, situation after situation, longing for a permanent loving home, and then many potentially adoptive parents with whom we simply couldn't make the match to these children. So that was point one, this important need and this woeful gap in matching loving parents with children who need it. I guess the second thing was that so many of the barriers that exist are ones that we can overcome, particularly through understanding and awareness of this number of children and their needs. And I think the third thing was that to be very mercantilistic about it, it is so much more cost effective to put the effort into adopting children from foster homes rather than having them carry on till 18 with a very large number ending up in situations that, quote, cost our social systems, our justice systems, our health systems an enormous amount of money. So a little bit of wise investment now in helping to place many more of those 30,000 children in loving homes is enormously important on a social point of view and enormously important on an economic point of view.
I want to put some names. We're not going to put faces to those enormous numbers of 30,000 children waiting for adoption.
Sebastian is a 13-year-old smart, curious boy who loves building things and figuring out how mechanics work. He loves reading and learning and loves sharing facts. School can be a struggle for Sebastian, and he is in a special learning class to best meet his needs. He finds it hard to trust new people. Sebastian is asking for a family who is understanding, forgiving, and quiet. He hopes his future parents are easygoing.
What do you hear when you see a profile like Sebastian?
Oh, extraordinary. And he's 13. And in our work, the average age of adoption of the 8% who were adopted was age 13. And how sad it is that Sebastian has gone on some months, I would expect, and maybe some years, wanting that peaceful, quiet family and not being able to find it.
You write in your report that ignorance and indifference are the two greatest enemies of adoption. What's going on with us that there are so many of these children hiding in plain sight?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I guess it's just a hidden part of our society that somehow we don't see things whole. But we have this large number of children, many Sebastians, and we have not been able to resolve that situation. Some other jurisdictions have. Their adoption rates are 50%, 60%, 70%, and there are some particular measures that one can take to do that. But I think the first thing is simply understanding that we have a need. We have potential parents that really do want to bring a child into their family, and we must do a better job of bringing that together.
Her Excellency wrote a recent blog called "It Takes a Village to Raise a Child." What a wonderful challenge it was to us. Do you think we're losing a bit of our national village for children?
Yes, I think we are. I think in part because we become very complex, we become very urban, and I think we are perhaps more indifferent to needs than we have been in an earlier, less complex society.
So this touches on social capital, the social capital that's in just love, the blood, sweat, and tears of love of parents and people extending themselves. What do you think the value of that is in our country?
When we think of how we build those relationships, how we build those mechanisms, how we strengthen the element of trust that goes into social capital, out of that comes healthy communities, healthy neighborhoods in the best sense of the word. And as you build healthy communities, you build a smart and caring nation. And for me, that's the aspiration for Canada as a very special place in the world.
Your Excellency, there's a faith campaign trying to address faith communities of all types to wake up to the need to adopt 30,000 children waiting in Canada. How do you feel about the value of the social capital of our faith communities for that?
Well, how exciting that campaign or that initiative is, based on caring communities for whom love is the predominant word. And as we said in our report in 2009, our greatest enemies, our greatest obstacles with respect to adoption are indifference and lack of understanding or lack of education. And so that campaign to develop the social awareness and then the social capital to cause it to happen is wonderful news for me. And it emphasizes that there are 29,999 other Sebastians out there looking for permanent loving homes.
Later in our exclusive interview from Rideau Hall, His Excellency David Johnston tells us why adoption was important to his family. For now, let's move from our head of state to the people he and we serve. So, Sheldon Neal, let's get our viewers engaged.
And Lorna, a good place to start might be raising the country's awareness about the need to adopt. For you at home, we want your response to this. Did you know that 30,000 Canadian children are waiting to be adopted? Yes or no? Send us your answers by phone, Facebook, or Twitter.
Coming up, the conclusion of our exclusive Rideau Hall interview with Governor General David Johnston. But first, we'll visit two parents whose passion for the need to adopt in Canada is becoming a national movement. A talk with Tracy and Bruce Clemenger when we return. This week, Context is on the road at Ottawa's Rideau Hall with our exclusive interview with Governor General David Johnston. We're discussing the adoption crisis in Canada. Before we return there, some insight now from adoptive parents and authors on this subject, Tracy and Bruce Clemenger. My own story of adoption and my views are a chapter in their new book. But first, a look at waiting to be adopted.
Ben and David are brothers, and they love playing outside. They're both into Taekwondo. Because of stuff in their past, it's tough for them to trust adults the right way, and they might sometimes seek attention through their behavior. Both boys need support and a family who is dependable and active. If possible, they want to try and stay connected with some of their birth family.
There are 30,000 children who have case studies like that.
Lorna, underneath it all, there's a parenting crisis in Canada. Financial pressures, emotional pressures, for whatever reason, more and more kids are coming into care. And the systems are being overwhelmed. You look at the provincial advocates, every province has a provincial advocate, and you look at their reports, and they're talking about the stresses on the system, the attempts to try to find a permanency plan for the kids in care so they're not moved too frequently. There's issues of education and kids aging out of the system. Ontario just went through a major review of that through the Provincial Advocate's Office and working with children who were about to age out of the system. And their outcomes aren't good.
Tracy, as a mother who has adopted, and now an author of a book, which we'll get to in a moment, what kind of parents need to step forward for these children to have homes?
I think the first thing that's critical in this is that for anybody who's considering adoption, that they do the research first concerning the agency in which they want to call, so that they've done the research when they make the call. Another important factor in this is knowing who you are as a person and what you have to offer a child. You do not come to the system to get a child. The system is looking for parents who can meet the needs of children, parents who understand the grieving process children go through. Children need, above all, parents who are available, authentic, who have the work-life balance in place, who know how to put aside devices, get down on your knees, play, listen, see, and hear children in their terms of reference. And children speak if we would listen. So it's stepping to the plate and recognizing that you have to get to know the agency, and then also thinking through what you have to offer a child in a crisis situation.
Every time we talk about this, and we try to do this annually at Context, We hear from people who say, I've tried, the doors are closed, the red tape is too much. What do we say about those fears that people have, Tracy?
Overcome. Do your research. If you're at a roadblock at one level within the system, make a call to the supervisor to have a one-on-one conversation with the supervisor. If that fails, keep on going up the ladder and talking through things. A lot of times some of these roadblocks can be fear-based, a personal fear, they withdraw from it, a systemic issue. I think parents need to approach the system understanding that, you know, there's a parenting pedagogy that's ideal in these situations. Parents who understand what the children need, they may discover they're not suitable candidates for the children.
Bruce, you've began Adoption Sunday as a national campaign to keep us talking and talking. What do you hope is accomplished through it?
We want to break the barrier of ignorance, make sure that as many Canadians as possible know that there are these 30,000, probably more children in care. Tonight, there's 30,000 kids going to bed, going to sleep, without a forever home. And so we need to get the word out. We want to mobilize parents, families who would consider adoption, consider being foster parents, and be wonderful to have the agencies have couples lining up, possible families lining up, waiting to adopt. Need to be persistent, as Tracy mentioned, in terms of being available, because the children will need strong parents.
Tracy, for you, you have pushed the idea that Jesus is a model for adoption. Why?
Jesus is the world's greatest adoptee, the most underrated adoptee. He's also the world's greatest child advocate. He understood children, he understood the needs of children and their parents. He healed, he blessed. In Mark's Gospel in chapter 9, he brings the child to the center of the room to teach the disciples the nature of true leadership, and it's in child advocacy. And if you're not thinking like you need to be thinking for children, he calls leadership like that into question. So there's a big piece of that. He's our adoptee. He's lived the journey of adoption. He's done it well.
What does the gospel say for this crisis of healing that's needed?
Well, the gospel is all about binding the broken. It's about giving sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, healing, restoration. That's what the gospel is about. And it's so applicable to this, to the kids waiting for homes. Again, there's a parenting crisis. They're in care. Often they're in transition. They need a place of healing. They need a place of restoration. They need families who can embrace them. And the joy and the grace that they can bring into families is phenomenal. I mean, it's a two-way street. And I think that's where the church can step forward, because it's not just that we need families adopted and fostering, but we need communities. We need communities that will embrace these children, that will receive them well, and will nurture and care for them. We'll provide an intergenerational framework so that there's grandparents and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters and cousins and so on.
Tracy, you've been working on a book project where you asked 40 of us in Canada who have been affected by adoption. Myself, because I am adopted, I've got a chapter in your book. How did the book start, though?
My daughter arrives 3 weeks into kindergarten and says, "Mom, you need to write a book about God's love." And I said, "Why?" She said, "The kids need to know what love is. I don't think they know what love is. You need to explain adoption as God's love on earth for children." And so I started a dialogue. I just started talking to members of adoptive families and fostering families across Canada. It morphed from a little children's book to a larger book for the adults. At one point she said, "I don't think the children need fixing, Mom, it's the adults. They don't understand children, they don't understand that we're just kids."
She's saying this as an adopted daughter.
Yeah.
Well, your new book, Children and Youth Matter, is a groundbreaking look at how to care for this issue in Canada. My story is in it, and all these other fantastic stories. Thank you for creating Adoption Sunday in Canada, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
When that child looked up at me, he was so beautiful.
One of the things that went through my mind was, am I going to be a good parent?
The first time I saw her, I think I knew we were in trouble. She was cute, and she had these big brown eyes.
Sometimes he can look at you, give you that smile, and you just melt.
There was just this kind of a magic literally that happened with all three of us.
And he looked right at me. He smiled.
When I first met my son, he was a teenager.
She came to us when she was 17.
We met our mommy and daddy 2 years ago.
He is the most amazing child I've ever met. It was totally done. It was my kid.
It was like for the first time we were complete. It was just perfect.
I absolutely couldn't be happier.
Coming up, Governor General David Johnston explains why adoption is so important to his family.
I am not a troublemaker. I am not too old. We're not twice the burden. I am not just a number.
I am not unlovable.
Find out more about what children in foster care are really like and help us find them forever homes.
Now we return to Rideau Hall, where Governor General David Johnston talks about the social capital that families can bring to Canada. So you let the grandchildren run in places like this?
They go up and down those halls turning cartwheels, and they say, "Come on, Grandpa Book, you can do that too." And I say, "Yeah, and I'll tear a hamstring."
Let's take a look at the kids.
So we have 10 grandchildren, Lorna. Here we have our Christmas card, which went this year, which shows all the grandchildren. The two eldest are Emma and Taya right there. And where's the baby? The baby's right there in my arms.
You have adopted grandchildren.
Two, the eldest two.
Yeah.
Emma and Taya.
What did adoption mean to your family?
It was enormous. Our number one daughter wanted to have children for some period of time, could not, and began the long and challenging process of adoption.
I'm adopted. So I understand the sacrifice and love that's required too.
It's extraordinary. I suppose you have to see it to believe it, but there's so much joy in having a child, and that joy is in a very special context when you are bringing into your family a child who knows what kind of love, if any, that child would have, and now you know it will.
Well, I hope that this new campaign you've started, My Giving Moment, I hope that as our viewers listen to the need for adoption, they can think about My Giving Moment for these 30,000 children that are waiting to be adopted. Give us your advice about My Giving Moment.
What a beautiful example of giving moments. The campaign that you are doing on overcoming this lack of understanding and addressing the needs of those 30,000 children and putting them together with loving families. The My Giving Moment campaign that we've just referred to really comes out of the installation speech I mentioned earlier, A Smart and Caring Nation, A Call to Service, with both of those adjectives being important, how smart we are in our caring and how caring we are in our smartness. And what we are doing in this social marketing campaign is encouraging each Canadian to find his or her giving moment. Time, talent, or treasure money, large or small, but each one's effort makes a difference. And it's finding that particular moment, finding that circumstance, and then of course repeating it and encouraging others that will bring about an entire society that's smarter and more caring.
Your Excellency, thank you very much.
What a pleasure, Laura. Great to be with you. Good luck in the campaign.
Five years ago, we began highlighting the incredible amount of Canadian children needing adoption. As a child who was adopted, I can personally testify to how important it is. That's why Context My Giving Moment is devoting this episode to raising awareness of Canada's 30,000 children needing a home. Will you help? Please contact us to go to the next step. The need is great. Help a child find a permanent home. At Context, we are serious that our giving challenge is to give children parents. Our website has the links you need to explore that, and I'll be back with why my own adoption gives me some motivation on the need to be adopting older waiting children in Canada. Our giving moment at Context TV is to push hard on publicizing the need for Canada's children and youth who still need parents. I found my own parents through adoption, so this hits close to home. Most of the 30,000 children waiting for adoption in Canada are not babies. They are over the age of 4. In one case study we looked at, Guelph, Ontario, 105 adoptions are needed. 80% of those are over the age of 12. I was adopted at the age of 2, and I get it that every month a child spends in transition adds more complications. The word adopt means to choose. It's the same word recorded in the Bible that describes how God approaches the human race, choosing or adopting to love us. So join us in our campaign on the need to choose adoption. Each inquiry will be handled personally here on this subject, and our website has links and extra resources if you want to know more. So for all of us, I'm Lorna Duick. Thanks for watching. Join us next week as we explore life beyond the headlines.